Dineso Chekol, with PhD, professional engineer. He works with Toronto Region Conservation Authority in like senior water resource engineer with water and like management with Toronto Region Conservation for many years. He's going to talk today about water resource field and work TRCA is doing and how people can get in that field and what some requirements and some experience and some skills you might need to have and how to jump in that field. But and from some other stuff because he's a newcomer too. It's not he's been here for many years now. I think 10, 12, 14?
13 years.
13 years?
Yeah.
But he experienced everything like you guys. And his good things, he started his career in Canada like you are looking right now through kind of another bridge training program. And I have started my career in Canada same like the way that you are looking right now through a career bridge in Canada. In addition to that, it's good to hear for you like all guest speakers, doesn't matter if it's like, let's say he's talking about a water resource field. It's not thinking environmental field that is really like disconnected from the other. If you talk about water resource, at the same time you are talking about restoration, you are talking about green, you are talking, you know, so it's important for everyone. Thank you for coming, Dineso. Short intro for yourself because you might add more about that and you are free to talk and in the end, you can, of course, you can chat with them and respond to any question that might have. Thank you for coming.
Okay, thank you, Dash, for this interesting introduction. Yeah, hi everyone. First of all, I'm very happy to be with you this morning. And, you know, when I came to Canada 13 years ago, you know, people who came before me, some of them, you know, they told me different experiences. Some of them, they were successful. Some of them, they were not successful. You know, when you hear from those people who are not successful, then your mood will go down. When we hear from some of them who were successful in finding their career, a job in their career choice, and you know, your spirit will be uplifted. And I'm happy to share with you my experience, and also, you know, I know this program is for people who would like to, who wanted to have a job in environmental sectors. So water resources is one of the environmental sectors. Water connects everything, you know, because through water, everything is connected from top to the bottom, because water is like, you know, it's a blood in our body. You know, blood circulates everything in, and like that, water is critical for our life. And so, as Dash mentioned, I joined TRCA 10 years ago, and I joined as an intern, you know, which was offered by the bridging program called PAY. And fortunately, after a month, there was an opening and I applied, I got the job, and I'm still here. And from the internship, all the way different levels, and I'm now in the position which Dash mentioned. So first, you know, water management in Canada is a shared responsibility by different government levels, by federal government, provincial governments, and municipalities. You know, all these government levels have responsibilities to manage our water resources in Canada. And where comes Conservation Authority in this management, water management? You know, as you know, watershed is a logical unit to manage water. You know, because watershed, as you know, is an area where when water drop, when there is a rainfall, and then all the area within that watershed will drain to one point. And that area is watershed. So whatever you do in upstream will have impact on the downstream or middle stream. So the conservation authorities in Ontario have been assigned by the province based on Conservation Authority Act. They were established to manage watersheds. And that within that watershed, there are different responsibilities. There is natural heritage, there is ecology, but I will be talking about water resources management from Conservation Authority perspective. As I've said, water management is different, contains lots of activities. For example, water supply, drinking water, what we get from the tap, we are not dealing with that. The water supply system, but it's not Conservation Authority, but some municipalities, for example, Toronto or region of Peel, regional governments, those are responsible for water supply. And also in water management, there is wastewater treatment. After we use the water, and then when it is discharged, it goes through the sanitary sewer, and then it should be cleaned, because there are lots of pollutants and lots of things which we don't need. So we have to clean that water and then put it back to the ocean. And from the ocean, it goes on and then comes back as a rain. So I would like to share slides which I will talk briefly our water resource management, what we do at TRCA. And I have several slides, but I'm not going to cover all that, just few. And I would like you to ask questions and discuss, whatever in related to your career, search. So let me share with you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I share now? Okay.
Yeah.
Good. So let me just bring this one. Okay. So roles of TRCA in water source engineering in stormwater management and floodplain management. So, within a watershed, when we have naturally vegetated area, then there is enough infiltrations, because when it rains, it goes to the ground, and only a small portion of water will go as a runoff and join to the water courses and then goes to the outlet. Whereas when we remove the vegetation and put pavements like road, parking area, buildings, and all roof, so what happens is it will cover the soil surface. That means, the water, when it rains, it's not going to go to the ground. It's not going to infiltrate. That means all the water will go to the water course, and then lots of runoff is going to be generated, and the channel will not have the capacity to accommodate that flows. And then what would happen? It will overflow, and then it will cause flooding. It will also cause erosion in the channel. It will cause, because on the surface, urban surface, what do we have? There are lots of pollutants. When it rains, it washes off from the road and from the parking area, all the chemicals, and then it will dump into our river. And those rivers it is a place where our aquatic species are living. So all those pollutants, what's going to do, they will affect the life of those aquatic species. And not only that, when it goes to the lake, that's where we get our most of waters for our water supply. So what is going to happen? It's going to pollute And that, it will require a lot of treatments, and it's going to add cost to the water supply. That's why we have responsibility to control the storm runoff from the urbanized area. So when we introduce urbanization, which means we are introducing problems to the watershed. So we have to fix that. Otherwise, those people who propose for the development will not get permit. So our responsibility, when a developers bring an application to develop a land, then we will review whether they have assessed the impact of their development on the environment, and then whether they have provided sufficient mitigation measures to reverse the impact, whether they have provided. And then if we are satisfied, if when they submit that report, they have to demonstrate that here is the impact, and the impact will be addressed through these mitigation measures. Then we will, if we are satisfied, then we will approve and we will issue permit, and then they can go and build. Of course, there are different government levels where they need permits, like municipalities and the province, depending on the their responsibility. So generally, for stormwater management, that's what we do. I just want to show you some, this is Ontario. It's a bit, I just picked only the area where where the conservation authorities are. Do you see here? We have 36 conservation authorities. And there are also some areas, and those areas within Ontario, they are not managed by conservation authorities, but by Ministry of Natural Resources and Forestry. They are managed by those. And TRCA, oops, sorry. This is TRCA. So in Ontario, we have 14.5 million people, whereas within GTA, within TRCA's jurisdiction, we have about 6 million people, which is 40% of the population of Ontario lives in this small area. Do you see the pressure of the populations on the natural environment? This is highly crowded area. And this is, the area is from Ontario, it's only 3.4%. And it provides 40% of the population of Ontario. So as there is a lot of pressure on the environments of here. So we have about 9 watersheds, Etobicoke, Mimico, all the way to Cratters Creek. All these are 9 watersheds, what we manage. So let me show you the historical land cover change from naturally vegetated area into urbanized area or paved surface. Okay, 1951. These gray colors are where you have development. All those green areas, light green areas, it was naturally vegetated. When in 1951, it's only 1.25 million people. And after 20 years, you see all this area, it has developed. And development impacts environment. And another 20 years, you see how the urbanization expands, and within the last 40, from 1951 all the way to 1991, which is 40 years, the population from 1.2 now is 3.9 million. I mean, 1991. And you see, it's expanding. It's expanding. It's no wonder, because every year Toronto, GTA receives 100,000 people, newcomers like you and me, every year. it's a blessing to have people in the area, because people are, you know, they are blessings for a country, because they bring talent, they bring resources, they bring, you know, different experiences, different cultures. It's a blessing for. But you know, if we are not managing the environment properly, and then this area cannot support the populations which it where people live. So in 2016, you see all this area now is urbanized. So only the top portions of the watersheds are still green. And as I've said, it's about 5.9 million people. So I have already explained this, you know, natural hydrologic cycle. How many of you knows about this?
Yeah, we have.
Yeah.
Oh,
we have many people here with background in that field.
Excellent. Good to hear that. Yeah, you know, the hydrology is the driving factor for environment, for ecology, for groundwater, and all things. The hydrology is a critical factor. So if we mess up with the hydrology cycle, then we mess up a lot of things in the environment. Holman, do you have a question? Holman?
Yeah, go ahead.
No, sorry.
Holman?
I just left my hand up. Sorry.
It's
Okay.
all right. It's all right. Okay. So, yeah, the hydrologic cycle, you know it, many of you. So, urbanization will have, you know, clearing vegetations. I have already mentioned about. And then what does it do? It decreases interception because we remove the vegetation. So usually the vegetations intercept lots of rainfalls, and then it will evaporate. It will evaporate from the intercepted tree, from the tree leaves. And as I've said, because we cover the soil surfaces with the pavements, then infiltration decreases, which means more runoff is going into the watercourse. So, and also because we are, you know, the drainage efficiency, making pipes, catch basins, and you know, we clear vegetations. So all these, you know, it will drain as quickly as possible to the channel, which means the channel will be overwhelmed by the additional runoff, and then that's why it causes erosion and flooding. So this is a typical, you know, natural ground cover, you know, from the rain. 40% of the precipitation will be evapotranspire, and 25% will shallow infiltration, 25% with deep percolation to go into groundwater. And it's only 10% will go to the runoff, or to the watercourse as a runoff, not as a base flow. And when we remove this tree, when we introduce 10 to 20% of impervious surface, then runoff will increase by 20%. And evapotranspiration will increase and filtration will decrease. And when we increase the imperviousness, you know, we remove the vegetations, increase imperviousness, so the runoff will increase 30%, and the imperviousness, if we go up to 50%, then the runoff will increase to 30%. Here, when we increase the imperviousness more than 50%, then the runoff will increase 55%, which means lots of water will go to the watercourse. So typically, you know, hydrograph, you know, this is a curve which shows, you know, the water level in the channel as the times goes. So during pre-development, you could see that its response is so slow and it's not going to have a major impact on the watercourse. But when we introduce imperviousness, then a lot of runoff will go, And then, so in order to protect the channel, so this additional water should be stored so that we don't experience any runoff within the channel, which is, when you see here, this is the capacity of the channel. But so beyond this level, this peak flow, beyond this, we have to store. You might have seen some ponds in some area.
We don't see those kind of stuff. And these people actually have lots of questions regarding what kind of skills they need to work in that field, what kind of, let's say, softwares, and what kind of position might be in that field, like what the title looks like.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, now they see that. Like,
I will cover that one. So do you see it now?
Yeah, we see now. Yeah.
Okay. So generally, the impact of development on the natural environment, it will, when we say development, urbanization, it increases peak flow, volume, and frequency. So as you could see, the hydrograph is, the runoff, cubic meter per second per the time, with the water level within the channel. So as you could see, under pre-development conditions, it was very gradual rise and gradual falling limbs. And the peak flow is around here. That means it's a very moderate flows in the channel. Whereas when we urbanize, if you don't provide any control, if we don't control what, then what's going to happen is it will be increasing the runoff, the peak flow will go higher. And if we are, usually this is the capacity of the channel. Beyond this, what is going to happen, it will overflow the bank. So what do? As GRCA, what we do, we require the developers to control the flows up to here, which means, they have to provide a storage which will store this. Above this, it will store in a stormwater management pond or underground tank, and then release it gradually with an outlet structure. So this is, how we mitigate the impact of development on the natural environment. So this is how we manage stormwater. So this is, the frequency, a small runoff, a small rainfall previously was not creating any peak flows. But when we urbanize, it's going to create, frequent peak flows. That's going to have impact on the water course. And also, I've mentioned or increased pollutant loading. And also, trees, usually they get water from the groundwater, right? Because their root extends to the groundwater and they get water. But where did the groundwater get the water? It's from infiltration. It infiltrates and percolates to the ground. But if we cover with pavements, the surface, what's going to happen? Infiltration will not happen and groundwater will not be recharged. So the groundwater table will go down and it's below the root level. That means all the trees, what we see, they may die. That's why when we introduce urbanization, we have to make sure that the groundwater recharge is maintained. How? There are low impact developments, which means there are some measures which will allow, to treat the runoff, the stormwater, and then infiltrate into the ground. So there is a low impact development manual, which we have developed. You can get it online. GRCA low impact development. So you see here, because of the development, all this area is eroded now. All these houses are exposed and they are going to fall. This is the result of development. If you don't control the flows with the measure, and then it's going to cause like this. So our responsibility is when they develop, so that they are not causing any problem to the downstream side of the developments. You see, it's going to cut also the channel because it increases the runoff. It's going to cut the channel down. And also it causes flooding. I don't know if you heard, July 8, 2013, there was a terrible flooding here at in TRC's jurisdiction in the entire area. GO train was, everything was within water. We have responsibility for that also, to warn the public, to provide information so that they are not risking their life in flooding area, in flooded area. So water quality, as I've said, you see here, it looks like soup. You know, this we don't want to happen because it carries a lot of pollutant with it. So we have to provide, they have to provide measures so that pollutants are not transferred to the lake where we get our water supply. And also fish, you see here, dead fishes because of those pollutants. We don't want that to happen. Okay, and it causes also, you see, it when there is high flow, it collapses bridges, and it exposes some manholes here. You know, the bank was here, but as runoff increases, it erodes, and then it just exposes the infrastructures. It is also dangerous for our environment. And we have policies. So yeah, that's, you know, there's Conservation Authority Act. That's where we get power to do what we do. And also we have some memorandum of understanding with municipalities. I know this, are you there?
Yeah, go ahead, yeah.
Oh.
What?
My computer froze. Just give me 1 second.
Okay, just talk.
Okay. So the other information I would like to share with you is a floodplain management. You know, in 1954, there was a Hurricane Hazel. You might have heard. That is the worst flooding in Ontario. It killed over 64 people. So the province used that storm as a standard to create a floodplain mapping. Floodplain mapping
okay,
is...
we cannot see that.
No, yeah, my computer froze. Just give me 1 second.
Okay, yeah.
When was this flooding? When did it happen?
In 1954.
Oh.
And like that is the point, like that they created the kind of, you know, models and stuff, and that is the base, let's say, for the water management. And
Yes.
lost again. And this is a language, if you see guys like hydrograph, and you know, and this is kind of language that you should use on your resume when you describe that your skills and stuff, and you can put on a resume like, okay, like skills, I'm familiar with TRCA water management, or with all the regulation, and this is kind of stuff you should put on your resume as knowledge. But of course you have to know, like, to be familiar with those kind of stuff. Okay, let's see, I don't see again here. Because of that, you need to have a good internet. I'm paying lots of money for myself just to. It's not back. Okay, I attached here the link for evaluation. You can do that in the end of the presentation, and Hope is coming back. If not, like, we'll try another session with him to invite him. So you might ask me question, and let's go. I think he came back.
He's back.
He's back.
Hello.
Yeah, 1 second. Yeah.
I'm very sorry. I don't know what. Oh,
Yeah. Yeah, you can speed
Okay.
that. You can speed that and leave more.
discussion for discussion.
Yeah, for discussion, for questions.
Okay.
That they have like lots of questions. Actually, I see like.
Okay. Okay. Just let me.
Yeah. Go a little bit. Yeah, keeping this kind of view like this.
Okay.
Don't change the view. It's good.
Okay. Do you see here?
Yeah, we see.
Okay. So the province decided to prevent any development within the floodplain. That means, and how do we determine the floodplain? And the floodplain is determined by running hydrology model. The hydrology model is will be run using this storm, the one which happened in 1954. If that storm were to happen under the current land use conditions, what would be the flow at each river reach or at river flow nodes? And then once we determine that using, we create hydrology models, what we use, hydrology model PC Swim and Visual AutoHymo, and HEC-HMS also we use. I think these are the hydrology models most frequently what we use, PC Swim or EPA Swim. And after we determine the flows, and then we will create a hydraulic model. The hydraulic model, what we use is HEC-RAS, and also in some areas where, HEC-RAS is, especially the classical HEC-RAS, it is one-dimensional model. But in the area where the flows may not be one-dimensional, it's multi-dimensional, it's an urban flat area, it flows in different directions. So one-dimensional model will not be able to capture that hydraulic condition. So we use 2D modeling, which can capture all the multi-directional flows. So we use 2D modeling like Mike Flood and also HEC-5, we use that. And then once we create that, the hydraulic model, the hydrology model will tell us how much flow, and the hydraulic model will tell us how high would be the flood, what is the elevation of the flood. And then that elevation will be plotted on the topographic surface, and then we will create, and then we will connect that, and then we'll create the floodplain mappings. So when there is development in those areas, we will see where is hazard-free area. So, developers will come and ask us these floodplain mappings. This is the floodplain mappings, what you see. So generally, that's what we use. Hydraulic model, as I've said, we use one-dimensional, two-dimensional model. Yeah, these are the models. Okay. Now, to your question first, and then later there are some things which I would like to add on top of what I've presented. Yeah.
Can I start with, because I'm pretty sure there will come lots of questions. The first one, what are the most important legislation, regulation acts that work, like someone needs to know working in the water management in water resource field?
Okay.
I know that in addition to TRCA, other acts and legislation.
Yeah. Okay. When we deal with water-related projects, first, Planning Act, municipalities, because the Planning Act determines some of the stormwater management within municipalities. And the Environment Assessment Act, which manage, the Planning Act is more of the private development side. It regulates the private developments within municipalities. Environment Assessment Act, that is for infrastructures, public projects, such as roads, bridges, culverts, those are regulated by that. And in terms of water resource management, there are some Clean Water Act and Source Water Protection and Safe Drinking Water Act, and not only that, but there are some important guidelines which and not only that, provincial PPS, provincial policy statement, they are also very important. We have, I think, the most recent one, and we can, those are, but the guidelines, if you would like to, involve in water resources sector, you need to, there are MOE, stormwater management manuals, and also, we have LID manuals. We have also stormwater management criteria documents. If you would like to have more of these informations, I'm happy to do the list and pass it to Dash. Dash can forward it to you.
Okay.
And there is another one. There is a Ministry of Natural Resources, a technical guideline for river hazard delineations. That's also a very important document, which you need to refer.
Okay, guys, go ahead. You are free. Thank you. Any question you have, like?
Hi, Dil. I don't know how to pronounce Dil Snow.
You can call me Dil.
Dil, yeah, short.
Thank you so much for
no problem.
Conducting such an informative session for us. I would like to know more about the day-to-day activities as a water resource engineer that you do in TRCA, and as a beginner in the water resource sector, how we can develop our skills if we are entering into an entry-level position or engineer position. What skills we have to develop, soft skill and technical skills, which software we have to be in hands-on, and what would you recommend as developing stage before entering into a career like yours?
Okay.
And then I would like to know more about your activities as a day-to-day water resource engineer, overall day-to-day activities, whatever you can share with us, please do share.
Okay. So let me tell you about our day-to-day activities at TRCA. First of all, as I've mentioned earlier, we are regulatory agencies, which means we regulate and our watersheds. Any activity, development activity, should be submitted to us, and we will review, and whether that development is not going to have a negative impact on the watershed. If it has negative impact, whether there is sufficient measures are provided or not to reverse this negative impact. So our responsibility when development application comes, we review those reports, applications. We have guidelines, we have criteria, we have requirements. Before they prepare these documents, they will come to us and they will ask us, what are our requirements? We will provide them. And those requirements, based on those terms of references, they will prepare their reports, environmental studies report, and stormwater management reports, floodplain management reports, and they will prepare and then they will submit to us. So we will review. So every day we review those development applications, and then we make sure that our requirements are addressed and no impact to watershed will happen as a result of these developments. If there is, then we will provide comments. So what do we do? When we write comments, what we do, first, what is required for this area? What's our requirements? And then what they provided, what kind of things they provided to address our requirements. If they haven't addressed, for example, we require here, but they provided here. So there is a gap between these two. So we will write, look, this is our requirement. You have provided this, but there is a gap between these two requirements. So we need you to fill this gap by doing this and that. Well, and then we send that comments, and the consultant will take and then revise their reports and resubmit, and then we will. So as this is our regulatory agencies. We are regulatory agencies, we're a government body. But from the private side, consulting firms, they do all the work. You know, the developers, they will hire them to do stormwater management report or to floodplain management, to do the modelings, all. And then once they did that, and they will submit to us. And let me tell you, we assume most of the works are within the government sphere, but 80% of the work is within the private sector, consulting firm, 80%. And many of those jobs are not posted online. They are through networks. They are through, LinkedIn. People connect through LinkedIn, through referrals and all that. Or they just, informational interview. They do informational interview or through volunteering. That's how they get into those private sector jobs. But a government job, what happened, it requires us to post. Any openings should be posted. It will be posted, and then there's a fair competition, and then it will be awarded whoever wins. So if I were you, I would concentrate my search for private sector. I have to open my eyes more on the private sector. I mean, it's logical, right? Where you find where you have lots of opportunity, I will open my eyes to that. I think those are the questions which you asked, right?
Yes,
Yes.
Okay.
Unmute yourself, guys. Yeah, start.
Yeah, yes, that's right. Thank you, Dil, for clearly explaining to us. And I also have a question on what soft skills and technical skills as a beginner in water resource management we have to develop. I know we cannot learn everything, but slowly we can build our skills and get ready for the career, what we are looking for, right? So I would like to know, and if it matching with the industry, it's more useful for us in earning that job. So
okay, very good question. So if you are in water resource engineering field, you are expected here in Canada, water resource, hydrology and hydraulics. First, you need to know the models. At least, there are open source models like HECRAS, the hydraulic model, EPA SWIM. They are free. They have examples. You can go and train yourself. The model is very important because, all water resource works we do using models. So that hard skill, those, and also, I know when I came here in this country, the first things what I did, I printed out for example, stormwater management. I printed out the manual, which I mentioned to you myself, and then I read through that documents. Science is everywhere the same, whether, the water flows from the top, from the higher altitude to the lower altitude, right? It's everywhere the same, but the practice is different from country to country. So here, in order to understand what kind of practices people use, some of the guidelines, standards you need to read. The MOE, Stormwater Management manuals and design guideline, that's a good one I would read. And also, and the other thing, I would go to some of the conferences, for example, Stormwater Management Conference or Low Impact Development Conferences. It's an investment. If you pay $50 or $40, it's an investment because you will connect with people. I know now is COVID time, you can't go and meet with people, but later, when even after you got a job, it's good to expand your network through such kind of things. The soft skill and the other skills, which is very important, writing skill. You have to you have to learn how to write memos, reports. I know when you go through school, you will learn those things, but still, it's good to refresh those skills. Of course, soft skills, communications is important. I think you all have good communication skills. I'm 100% sure.
Yeah, most of the job in environmental field are kind of consulting, so you need that soft skills in every job. But I agree with you need at least 2 software to know 2 software, because in water resource you have to work with models.
Yeah.
At least, and I know here class there are lots of resources that are free. You don't need to pay money, or you might pay a little bit money. And probably I will provide you some information for some stuff cheap. And also, because of that, I asked in the beginning, so regarding regulation and legislation and guidelines, you don't need to be expert, but just read. Okay, because they are different from one country to another.
Yeah.
You can say that is the most important things. 2 things. But I have another question, what kind, if I want to jump, what kind of position might be in that field as a starting point, and after that, so I might get the position really working, because might be other positions supporting water resource field.
Well, recently, I think it's not yet closed. There is a water resource technologist position. It was posted. I don't know whether you have seen it. You can take a look at in our website, career website. It's posted, and yeah. When let me give you one thing. I think it should be. It's important to be honest with ourselves. First, when we need to first identify what kind of career I would like to follow for my life. So once you identify that, for example, I want to be a water resource engineer. Good. Then go to website and then search for a job description for a water resource engineer. And download it. And then create an Excel spreadsheet. And then I list all the requirements. All the requirements. And be honest yourself, and then do you have those requirements? If you have requirements, okay. If you don't, then make X. And then another, open another box, and another column, and then you write, how can you, train yourself, or how can you fill that gap, And you do that, you audit your skill sets, what is required, what the requirements, and what you have, what you don't have, and then you can create a strategy to fill the gap which you have. Did you get my point?
Yeah.
So and also, I'm 100% sure you will be successful, but you have to have, you have to focus. Focus, know where you would like to go. I know when I came here, I applied all kinds of jobs because I need money, right? All of you need money. Who doesn't need money? Everyone needs money, right? We need to cover our expenses. So I applied all kinds of, but I was invited for the interview because I customized my resume so that, it attracts them, and then they gave me opportunity. But when I was asked, because it was not my expertise, and, I was not able to answer the questions the way they expected me. And they said, okay, good, we'll get back to you. And then they say, oh, we regret that you didn't get the job. So I was not focused in the first, but later I said, no, this is what I want to do. And, until I was working at call center, while I was searching. But I first, okay, this is the direction which I wanted to go. So what am I missing? What's my gap? I went through, skill inventory. And then I create a strategy, and then I was fortunate enough. And then later when I got that interview, and then it wasn't hard for me to get the position. So get focused, know know your gap, know your strengths, and then create a strategy, how you are going to, fill that gap.
We have Maria here and Collins. Yeah, go ahead.
Should I go first?
Yeah.
Okay. Regarding Heidel, regarding the urbanization charts of Ontario that you showed over a period of time, so the rates of urbanization look pretty alarming. So is there anything being done by the city planners to shift urban centers or to spread urban centers around Ontario? Because for how long can this Toronto and Peel region accommodate without any compromise on infrastructure?
Mm-hmm. Okay, just let me show you one slide.
Maria, can I remind you about something?
Yes,
if you have a chance to go for an interview, this is a good question to ask them in the end of the interview, where they said, do you have a question for us?
Yeah.
This is a smart question, and we tell you like, okay, you are a smart person, you are looking forward.
Okay.
Yeah, remember that.
In mind, yes.
Just give me 1 second. So, do you see this map?
Yeah.
So, look, these red dots are the stormwater management ponds. So, when this area developed, nobody thought about stormwater management. So nobody realized, the thought was to drain the water as quickly as possible from the urban area and discharge into the lake. So, and they saw that the channels were eroded, and there was so many problems associated to the channel erosions, infrastructure collapse. And they said, no, it can't go that way. We have to manage our stormwater. And, this, as you could see, the paradigm shift, this area, after it, this area, when this develops, stormwater management, everybody understood that it is important to introduce the stormwater management. Now they have ponds in this area. You see? Now in this area, it's becoming more strict. as we go from downstream to upstream, the thought about, the thought process, depending on the year, the stormwater management previously was not considered important. But gradually, after it caused so many damage, and then it's important, we have to do something. And now we are doing something. But for the old neighborhoods, we are trying to do retrofits, downspout disconnections, or providing some rain garden to hold the water in your backyard. Different approach. We cannot implement here a stormwater management pond in the old neighborhood because everywhere is house. There's no, we cannot ask them to give land because it's expensive. And there is mistake over there. We can't do anything. But now what we do, we implement those strategies for the existing, for the current developments.
But
okay.
I can say, like, I'm not sure 100%, but what I understand for this looks like they are trying to do something dealing with the problem, but not really like finding a solution, not having that problem at all. Because as I think from Maria's question, she was looking, okay, is there any strategy like, let's say, not populating anymore this area, but going somewhere else, or I'm wrong? Yes, Maria?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
And I think what I know, I think it is not actually, because it looks like every time what I have deal, like in most cases, the decision here is in hands of politicians, not in hands of experts.
But,
this is my response as I know until now. Like in the end, the experts say, okay, this is a strategy, but goes to the city, and some people there without expertise just hands up and they said, no, we are for this solution.
Yeah,
this is my opinion.
Here in Canada, especially Ontario, GROW's plan is allocated by the province. Province, they plan, okay, now we have 14 million people. We want the population to grow by 2 million. So where should it go? What they do, they will determine based on different factors. There is political factor, there is economic factor, there is also resource factor. They see all that and they will allocate, okay, 2 million people. We want 500,000 people to grow in Barrie. Barrie area, we want that area to develop. And then what they do, land designation, there is zoning. For example, if it is zoned agriculture in that area, then the province will allocate 500,000 there. So the municipalities, they will start, okay, this area is going to be rezoned from agriculture to urban, to employment and residential. So what they do, the municipality, they will start working, studying, watershed study, impact, it will be assessed. And then they will rezone it. Okay, that area, this is industrial area, this is how the province is the one which allocates where to grow, whether it's employment and residential. But the municipalities, they don't have responsibility. It's the province who decides that.
But it's not mandatory. It's not mandatory. They don't force people to go there. They said this is a strategy, but we see people like coming only in Toronto. And as I said, like,
it's economy. The economy is,
exactly. So that is that. It's
right.
Not like
They will allocate, but the economy. But they somehow they will maneuver some of the things.
Let's
what
hope.
They do. If they assign their 500,000 people, then they will construct highways. Now there is a big project now. There's one highway is planned from 400 all the way to Oakville, north of Mayfield. There's going to come a new highway. That area is going to develop.
We have a question from Collins. Yes, Collins?
Ideal.
Hi,
My
Colin.
question is targeting like one specific like location in downtown Toronto. You talked about the 2013 flooding
Yes.
that happened, but when you look at like Lower Simcoe underpass, it has been flooding like multiple times, like almost every 2 years, like since 2009, I guess.
Sorry,
So-
can you repeat it?
I'm just directing this question to Lower Simcoe underpass, the one in downtown Toronto. I don't know if you know.
You know, as I've said, you know, previously,
Yeah,
people, when they urbanize, usually, where do they urbanize? Near the water course, near
Yeah.
where they can fetch water, near where they can dump their, you know, and also transportation was, you know, easy use, and they settle close by to the lake, to the water course. And then nobody that time, because upstream were not developed, they were not exposed for flooding. But as you move upstream, after the development increases, then the flow increases. So now they see the problem. So the downtown, yes, you know, they did not consider the floodings situations when they develop. That's why it's the more frequent storms causes this flooding. And
15 years ago, when I came in Canada, you can see only in that area there only CN Tower, and the old hotel, what is that, York something, yeah?
Yeah.
And it was nothing else.
Yeah.
That is my question. They are building, you know, and right now, doesn't matter. The builders are interested to invest there instead of going north.
So my question was, when you are talking about the issues that cause flooding, you didn't talk about like combined sewer systems that are in downtown Toronto.
Oh, okay. At TRCA, we are watershed management agencies.
Yeah.
But municipality, you know, we see from watershed perspective, but municipality for the combined storm sewers, you know, the SANI and the storm sewer, for the combined system, it is the municipality who are responsible to manage that.
Oh, I see.
And maybe some of you, you know, the combined system is, you know, previously they drain stormwater and SANI together. But now, many places, especially new development areas, these two systems are separated. But that's old area and old neighborhood, you still find some of the area. And that's why it causes flooding because of these systems. And City of Toronto has been working a lot, but because it is so many areas, so many places, this kind of system, and it's beyond the economic benefits, you know. So now they said, okay, we'll manage whenever it happens, then we'll clean. That's what they take the measure, But they know, they appreciate the problem, they know the problem, but it's beyond their budget.
All right. Thank
Any
you.
other question, guys? Because I know we are late, so you have the link to fill out the. If you have any other question, just here is the moment now.
I just have a quick question for I know that I've learned before in previous classes that the Don River was straightened to accommodate industrialization and urbanization in the past. And I know the City of Toronto, together with TRCA, are working to naturalize the mouth of the Don to accommodate, you know, to try to mimic basically the mouth of the Don River in the past. But I was wondering, after all of this project is done, what are the what green infrastructures or, you know, developments are we going to expect in the mouth of the Don River?
Well, that at the mouth, it's going to be a channel which can accommodate only when it exceeds 25-year flow. So the Keating channel, you are referring to the Keating channel, right? There is, you know, which turns 90 degrees. You know, that is the most You know, that's a wrong design. You know, as a result of that design, City of Toronto, you know, spends a lot of money to dredge the channel. So what happened is, you know, at the mouth of the Don, you might have seen, some of you, Gino, you saw that. So when the flows, it comes like this and then turns 90 degrees. But the water is like elephant. Can elephant bend 90 degrees? No, it can't. Just look, when it slows, when it hits 90 degrees, it's gonna act like a dam, which means the flowing water carries always suspended sediments. And when you stop the flow, that means the velocity goes down, then the particles within that suspended sediments will start to silt up. And then it will settle there. And it's a huge cost for the City of Toronto. And also, as a result, it's flooding some of those areas. It creates flooding, backwater effects. It causes flooding. So now, in that area, there's a huge development potential. If you see those areas, now you don't see much development in some industrial, commercial areas, but there is a huge development. I don't know, you can go Google, you know, what the City of Toronto planned to implement. It's a multi-billion-dollar developments in those areas. But because it's flooded, it's within flooding area. Now, what Gino mentioned is that area, previously the flow was going straight, not 90 degrees. Now we are trying to mimic or acting the same like it was before and create a channel, natural channel, but that natural channel is going to convey flows which exceeds from that Keating channel 25 years and above. It will overflow to that. So, and it will, by doing that, the flooding will be controlled. So that's, and the development is a multi-billion-dollar development. Lots of casinos and lots of hotels and lots of recreations, condos is going to go there. So you may get one of the condo there.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you, Dinosaur, so much. And I think like no more question. Thank you. Really appreciate your support and help. And guys, Dinosaur is working with Toronto Region Conservation. If you want to connect with him on LinkedIn, it will be fine. And it's kind of way like creating that network with people with same background. And I'm talking for you guys that really have choose the water management and water resources as a stream. So.
Thank you. So last, you know, if you forget everything what I said, but don't forget one thing: get focused and know your career and assess your skill and create a strategy. Don't forget this.
And from the beginning, remember, try to connect with people who are successful, not the people like, if you see people that have like, let's say, like been not successful, I'm not saying don't talk to them, but not spend too much time with them because you put you down too.
Let me tell you one story, and then by this I will finish. You know, in America, there was one guy who tried so many businesses, small businesses, and failed. And finally, he wrote a book, how to start a small business and become successful. He wrote that book, and because everybody wants to start a small business and become successful. And he wrote so many things, and then so many people bought that. Imagine if that person were successful, if he had known the principles which will make him successful, he would have become successful, right? But you know, the principles, because he doesn't know those principles, that's why he didn't become successful. by reading those, those people who read his book, they will fail the same. Because in his book, one thing, if it works for you, it will work for others. I'm 100% sure for that. So, you will find a job. Absolutely, you will find. I assure you. But get focused and know yourself very well, and do audit your skill, and then create a strategy to fill the gap. Thank you.